digital nomads, remote workers, expats, even students. So think anyone who needs a temporary extended stay or monthly accommodation.
Hello, everyone. It's me again, Emily Braun. And today I have a pleasure to speak with Deni. And Deni will entertain me and you, I believe, with a couple of interesting stories about where he's from, what he's doing now. And I'm looking forward myself actually to learn even more about Deni. I know a little bit, but full of anticipation. So Deni was born in Croatia. Please continue your story.
Hi, Emily. Thanks for having me. Yes, so I come from Croatia and currently I live in Germany, in Düsseldorf. And I've been an expat for, 4.5 years now. And during this time, I learned, let's say, I won't say in a hard way, but it was a rough integration process because I came to the country just a couple of months before pandemic started. So you can imagine with all the lockdowns and things that were going on, how the integration process with the locals was going.
Okay, great. So just to feel a little bit more about you as a person, Deni, can you please share some interesting or fun facts about what you're doing on your free time? Actually, about yourself, just.
Sure. So I'm a digital marketing professional with 10 plus years experience in the industry. I mostly worked in travel industry, but in recent years, working for Homelike, I work in, let's say, extended stays niche of the market. And about my free time, well, I have many hobbies. I'm trying to keep them all offline as much as possible. For example, I really enjoy exploring new music, going to concerts. I draw a bit just to kind of try to change the daily dynamic to kind of slow down the pace of and the rhythm of the day. And of course, I do some sports on the side and many different hobbies. And one in particular, maybe which helped me integrate into the German community and speak with the locals would be board games. So during the week, there are board game meetups, and that's the best way for me, at least, to find people of common interest and to find and meet new friends and people, of course. Yeah.
So you were speaking German before you were coming to live in Germany, correct?
No,
Or
not
what
really.
languages you using in your kind of today's day-to-day life?
Yes. So at our company, we are English first because we have remote offices in Spain, UK, France, and Germany. And because people are from all over the world and from these countries that I mentioned, we use English as our first language. And I didn't speak German before I came to Germany. I didn't have a plan to actually come to Germany. I wasn't aiming for Germany in the first place. When I decided to move from Croatia to somewhere, I was aiming a couple of companies and I was applying for the companies. And coincidentally, they were all in different locations in different countries. So I ended up in Düsseldorf in Germany, and I think it was a good fit, I would say, compared with the other destination because it's not a small city, but it's not a million city. It doesn't have, I believe it's around 160,000 inhabitants. So it's, I would say, a good mix of business-driven, very trendy city, but also very family-oriented and relaxed.
Okay, great. So now from your personal story, I'm trying to understand how your key skills and experiences you had prior to starting this chapter back home in Croatia actually helped you to land opportunity with the company you're working now. You mentioned you were working before for travel industry, like Adriatic. It's a travel company.
Yes. So in my former years of starting in digital marketing, I started as advertiser for or digital advertising on Facebook. And then I expanded that to Google Ads. And along the way, I also started to work with affiliate corporations. So a lot of negotiation and partnerships. And the topics, or let's say areas that I covered, just kept on growing. During my years at Adriatic HR, I came as a, let's say, assistant, but in 2 years, I managed to take over the whole department and was a lead for the 5-member team. And during these years, yeah, I mean, Adriatic HR is a big company in Croatian standards, but in international markets, it's, well, not that I won't say relevant, because they had a really good accommodation selection, but in terms of international appearance, it was a small player. And negotiating with the big players, not to name them now, was very good experience for me to kind of see how the dynamics of not only negotiation, but also how things are done and how they should be streamlined, and what makes the difference when you're trying to, let's say, partner with new websites where to advertise or to negotiate better deals. And I'm mentioning all this because all this experience was very relevant for my next job. And the first one that I got in Germany was at Trivago. I joined their Google Hotel Ads team, which is basically advertising their supply on a separate platform for comparing hotel prices.
I'm
So
very excited. I can tell you I'm using Trivago for years, even being a back travel agent. I was using Trivago and I like this tool. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. So Trivago is, for those who don't know, they're comparing prices from different sources, and I was advertising the supply that is listed on Trivago on a separate platform, which is Google Hotel Ads. And it was a good opportunity for me to work on exciting project, because that was still the beginning of Google Hotel Ads. A lot of things needed to be developed and to adjust it to a certain, let's say, standard that Trivago had. And yeah, basically, once pandemic started, I was forced to look for a new job opportunity, and I managed to find one in Cologne in Homelike, and I joined here as an affiliate marketing manager. And yeah, after 3.5 years now, I'm still here, and we're doing great things to bring extended stays to expats, digital nomads, and remote workers.
So it's pretty interesting for me to learn more about your company and specifically how your company is helping expats, specifically retirees, remote workers with families who have, special accommodation needs. So please describe a little bit more what is special about your company and how it's care about people I care.
Sure. So at Homelike, we offer extended stays to digital nomads, remote workers, expats, even students. So think anyone who needs a temporary extended stay or monthly accommodation. What that means is that we are an online booking platform where you can select the dates and with ease book your accommodation for a couple of weeks or even months. And this is a crucial, I would say, service in the niche, because a lot of people are having trouble with overblown prices. First on, because most of the websites or hotels are renting daily, and they are multiplying these daily prices by number of days in a month. And that's how you can book on other platforms for, let's say, 30 days, if they even support 30 days or more. But what's even more important is that when you book, you also have the opportunity to register yourself at the address. So if you're first time coming to the country and you have a job, you need an accommodation, right? So you maybe have trouble with finding accommodation online because you're in another country, you cannot visit the apartment. There's a lot of bureaucracy, a lot of checks from the agents, and so on and so forth. With us, you can as I said, select the dates, book, move to a new country, new city, move in, and then register your address and your bank account, and then start to look something long term with indefinite contract, right? So it's funny because when I came to Germany by coincidence, I was also in this position. I couldn't find anything online through standard agencies. I was sending emails, but I didn't get any replies. And for those that I did get a reply, I was asked to come to visit the apartment, but I was in Croatia still. So along the way, I actually found Homelike and booked my first 3 months in Germany with Homelike, not working for the company back then. And I guess I made a full circle by joining the team. And this is actually one of the reasons why it appealed to me to work from home, like because I experienced the service and it was very useful. And I think it solves a lot of problems for the people. So I hope that we will continue to bring much more accommodation in many more cities in the near future.
It's great. It's great to hear. And I'm just thinking, what is the maximum time person or family can live in your company apartments, accommodations?
So in general, there is no maximum apart from, let's say, a local regulation, depending on the
Mhm.
country. So for example, in Spain, you cannot rent more than 11 months because then everything above that is considered like a long-term accommodation. And it's a different, let's say, contract, right? The same reason, because if you rent below some days, I believe it's 34, you're considered to be like a vacation rental provider. So depending on the country, the laws are different. But let's say in general, we advertise or we communicate between 1 month and 11 months. However, if you book, let's say for 3 months, you can extend your stay for another whatever months you need. And it's not only months, you can extend for a number of days, right?
But can people renew with your company after, say, 11 months? Or they need to change location, kind of, to move to different apartment?
Not necessarily, but they can stay in the same accommodation if there's availability in the calendar of the current apartment. So it can be the case that while you're staying there, someone will book the next month when you're supposed to move out, right?
Mhm.
Because it's online booking. However, if you react on time and you see that the next month when you don't have an extension is open, you can extend your stay, and then others won't be able to book. So but in some situation, of course, we have a customer service in many languages that we support our customers if they have a problem. For example, they want to extend, but someone else booked their apartment where they are already living, right, in the next months. We will assist these clients and we will help them find, let's say, another accommodation nearby.
So if there is any issue, during the long term, even months or weeks, the renter is dealing with your company because they don't kind of connect with, property manager or owner of apartment who take care of, if something not working.
Yes. So the client is, or the tenant is in direct contract with the landlord, and
Mhm.
Homelike acts as a booking provider in the middle.
Mhm.
However, if there are any issues that cannot be resolved only between landlord and the client, Homelike is in a position to assist and resolve, let's say, as an intermediate in the process.
Okay, and I notice obviously the company is German-based company. There are more location in Germany rather than other countries, European countries. What is your personal Germany relocation experience? I believe that you relocated a couple of times as well. And as far as I know, and I'm not professional in the German rental market, but it's pretty specific in Germany specific. So,
Yes.
what is your relocation experience inside Germany?
Yes. So the German rental market is very specific because the first shock that everyone gets who's not familiar is that you're renting an apartment which is not furnished, without any furniture. and also in 90% of the cases without even a kitchen. So you're basically renting the empty space. So once you know this, you kind of understand that you need to have some money in advance to kind of equip the apartment, right? And it's not included in the price. So this is also an advantage of Homelike because all the apartments are furnished. So, but my experience
Oh,
was,
okay.
yeah, exactly. So my experience is that it's very tough. The demand is very high and supply is very limited. You apply for an apartment. It's really a gamble. Will you get a visit invitation or not just to see the apartment? And after you get the invitation and visit the apartment, you soon come to realize that 20, 50 more people have been invited and that you're competing with them for a single apartment. And many, of course, will not like the apartment, but let's say 10 or 20 people are interested. Basically, then it's up to landlord to decide who gets the apartment. And well, I won't say it's a lottery, but it's not very far from that description. Yeah, who gets the apartment.
So you started your work in Köln, and now you are in Düsseldorf, correct?
So my first job was in Düsseldorf. The first apartment that I rented is in Düsseldorf, and Homelike is based in Cologne. However,
Mhm.
since we work remotely, we are a remote first company. We work from our home offices. I decided to stay in Düsseldorf, but I changed a couple of apartments here in Düsseldorf.
We are the home-like company or not?
So with Homelike, I changed too. And then after I couldn't find anything long term. So I needed
Mm.
to, I actually had the situation that I was describing or that you asked about. Can you extend your stay? So I rented the first accommodation for a month. And when I wanted to extend, someone else booked the same accommodation in the next month. So I booked another one for 2 months. And during these 2 months, I managed to find something for long term. And currently, so after 3 months, I managed to find something. And currently, I'm in that apartment. So a little bit above 3 years now.
Okay, so from accommodation, let's move a little bit to your personal adjustment and adaptation period living in Germany, actually expat life. So what you can tell about it?
Well, I can say that I see a lot of stories that Germany is not very expat friendly, or a lot of articles that it's not on top of the list of being like a remote worker or digital nomad's preferred destination. And to
Why?
some
By the way, why? I've seen as well, and I personally couldn't find the reason why Germany is not on the list, being actually like Berlin and many other cities, for years, good cities to live in
yeah,
Europe.
I would agree with them to some extent. With some other, I won't. So I believe we can separate, or we should separate Berlin from rest of the Germany, because
Hmm.
Berlin is, I would say, a startup hub. It's a
Yes.
completely different vibe and culture within the city. I cannot speak much about Berlin. I have not lived there, but I visited many times, and you can definitely see the different atmosphere within the city. And people, even though they speak English in other cities as well, I believe it's much more common to hear English in the street than in other cities. So I would say why people don't or struggle with integrating in Germany is the language barrier. So once they come here, if they are not a fluent speaker or if they are not confident speaker, they need to rely on English. And in many cases, this is enough. Well, me first, I'm not a fluent speaker. I get by from day to day. But when it comes to, let's say, official offices, bureaucracy, nothing is supported in English. You will often speak, you're supposed to speak with them in German. All the contracts are in German. So it's not English friendly at all. While on everyday basis in the stores or when you're meeting people, they're very open to speak English. I cannot say it's any different from Berlin here in Düsseldorf.
And just culturally more close society, I would say. Yes, it's kind of language and just culturally different from, I would say, Italian, Spanish, where there are more sun, more vitality. No, with all respect, there are
Of course.
differences in temperament, of national temperament. Yes.
Yeah, I believe to integrate with the locals, with Germans, you really need to speak the language. I do have friends who are German, but I still speak with them in English. And it's much harder to kind of bond in that way rather than if you would speak German. But so I ended up hanging mostly with expats, and there are a lot of expats in Dusseldorf or in this whole region in general. And people have the same, I won't say consciously, but probably unconsciously, they kind of hang out among themselves. There are expat meetups, expat cafes or pubs where people go. And I also think, I mean, the best way to meet new people is within the company or through some hobbies that you might have or through some networking events. And yeah, then on the other side, if you only speak English, some people who are maybe more introvert than the other would have this, let's say, blocker in themselves to speak English while everyone's speaking German. So it can be a little bit tricky on the psychologically. But I would say you can still have a very nice life. It's okay. It's not super sunny as it is in Spain, but once you get used to it or accept the weather as it is, it's not as bad as it is, for example, in Ireland. Let's say it like that.
No, no, no. Ireland, yes, and Scotland, with all my love, it's not
Exactly.
my climate, and not. I
It's
visited it,
human.
and I understood that it's not for me, but can be good for other people.
Yeah.
But speaking about social life, and I understand that expats with certain amount already creating their own kind of environment and vibe, like cafe, clubs, and even probably inviting some local young people who are eager to speak English and to communicate with professionals, newcomers. Yes.
Definitely. Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't even say young people. Anyone below 40 or even 50 speaks English fluently. I didn't have any obstacles with anyone. As I mentioned, I play board games, so I interact with people of all ages, and the Germans are very much in love with this hobby. So I played many times with people who are 50, 60, and I'm still friends with some of them. We hang out on a regular basis, but also younger people. And even those who say, oh, sorry, my English is not good, they speak much better than I speak German. So I would say they are much more English educated in that sense than that people think they are. And they're much more open to communicate in English that people might have a